I saw a few flurries in there. Did you catch them? Okay. Hinton, Edson also got into the snow. We were looking at some of those traffic cameras, and boy, blustery conditions. Pair that with a few snowflakes. That is not a place I want to be. Now, thank you for being right here with me. I love when you do that. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. You're watching the Weather Network, and this is a look at weather right across the country. We'll focus in on some of the rain that's leaving the Atlantic, but also some of the rain that's coming into play for places like Saskatchewan, even in through Alberta as well. Alberta's a bit cooler, so the potential for mixing is greater here, but throughout southern Saskatchewan, basically through today and even through Sunday as well, light rain showers can be expected, only daytime highs of around 9 to 13 degrees. Now, as we look at Alberta here, this is where the snow is concentrated to, basically through the Rockies, the foothills as well, and this is because we have high pressure in place just about here, and the way that the winds interact with the high pressure system circulating clockwise, we get some upsloping conditions as those winds sort of crash into the mountains here, and that's why we were seeing some enhanced snowfall for some of these regions. We could even see snow, let's say Sunday morning, for places like Lethbridge down towards the extreme south, Medicine Hat too. So as we look at Calgary over the next 7 days, warming up, good news there, and snow, you don't see it in the forecast. So I know you like me a little more after this one, right? As we look at Edmonton here, same sort of situation. Sunshine's coming into play. It's actually a very calm weather week as we get past this weekend. Not too much coming into play. You can see that for Vancouver as well. But what does sort of foreshadow the end of the week here, an offshore low, and it's likely that that will bring in some rainfall into the BC south coast, but temperatures staying seasonal. Now, when we talk about a little bit of rainfall, pair that with wind gusts to 70 kilometers an hour. It's not going to be the best day throughout southern Ontario today. It's likely that we will see that rain start to creep through into the afternoon. Windsor, let's say over towards the GTA pretty much, maybe even as far east as Pickering. But when we look at places like Kingston, Brockville, up to Ottawa, let's say, your chance of getting into the showers is actually lesser. So the further east you are, the less chance you have of getting into that rain. Now, speaking about rain, way too much rain. That's what happened in the Maritimes. Look at this here. Fredericton, over 130 millimeters of it. Halifax at 71. Nathan Coleman has a great storm recap. If you could stay with us here, we'll be playing that throughout the show, and then you can see Halifax. Light showers today, but other than that, we're looking at a pretty good week, getting up to 18. Pretty nice, right? Now, I would love if you could stay. Story trending on Twitter as well. This is Hurricane Joaquin. Right now, a Cat 3 hurricane. It has done damage into the Bahamas, and where is it going next? We will have a full breakdown on this system coming up throughout the show. Where the moisture from Joaquin will go, will it affect people in Canada? That's coming up in the Long Ranger too. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. I'm in for Chris St. Clair this weekend and into the next while he's vacationing actually in London and Germany. So I'm happy to be here with you, and I want to focus in on our Canadian story. Look at this here. Tuesday into Friday, the rainfall totals out in the east, places like Fredericton, 131 millimeters of rain. And now I want to take you into our must-see video here. Have a look at this when we talk, and very heavy amounts of rain. This actually has nothing to do with Hurricane Joaquin. This could be the next potential of some active weather out in the Atlantic. But as we focus in on this afternoon, we could see some hit and miss spotty showers. Nothing like what you saw this week though. Very light rain here for places like Halifax, onto Cape Breton Island as well. A cool day in St. John's. We really saw that temperature drop throughout the day yesterday, falling as we went into the afternoon. So more details on this ahead. You can find them in your long range. That's coming up on the 10s with your 7-day and your 14-day forecast here. But now as we take a focus in through Ontario, the cloud cover builds and the potential for some rain showers, it certainly is there today. The further east you go in through southern Ontario, you can see Kingston, for example, in Ottawa, the less chance you have of seeing that rain. But for places like the Niagara region down towards Windsor and the city of Toronto, it's likely that we will see some spotty rain showers in through this afternoon. It's not going to be drenching rain, sort of on and off rain showers here, but the cloud cover builds. And one big story in through southern Ontario is going to be the winds today. Winds gusting to about 70 kilometers an hour, so a very breezy day, sort of uncomfortable to be outdoors. Now, as we look across the prairies here, also a little uncomfortable, I'll say. 9 degrees. That's going to be a cool rain in through Saskatchewan. Winnipeg, though, you're lucking out here at 16 degrees. Still quite beautiful for you. And then through Alberta. Well, last night we were looking at some of the traffic cams. Hinton and Nordegg, you got into some of the snow. Now, the snow potential, it's still going to be there throughout the day today as well. Calgary, basically actually Red Deer, south down to Calgary, and then towards the international border. We could see some mixing in with this, but you can see that moisture will continue to track off further to the east. Sunday, Friday throughout southern Saskatchewan, that's when the rain showers will taper off Sunday afternoon. But why are we getting this snow here? Well, we do have high pressure in place, and this high, the way that the air circulates around a high, moving clockwise, essentially these winds crash into the mountains, some upsloping happens here, and that's where we could increase some of those snowfall totals. Now stay with us here because Share Your Weather is next. Front that brought in way too much rain. Nathan was on the scene covering that. Mark Robinson was in Fredericton as well. We're done with that now, but we're awaiting, well, this Hurricane Joaquin out in the Atlantic. Huge damage into the Bahamas. I'll show you that video in about a minute and a half here. But where is this going? Is this going to bring in some moisture to the Atlantic? Well, right now, the Canadian model, this here is the European model, puts it a little more offshore. But in terms of the Canadian model, they're thinking some light rain showers into places like New Brunswick and even into Nova Scotia as well, especially Nova Scotia. And then for Wednesday, we could see some light rain showers on the Avalon. This here looking like it's a bit overdone in terms of some of the moisture in through Newfoundland, but a light rain potential. It certainly is going to be there with that system. Now let's focus in on what happened. Look at this here. St. John, 113 millimeters of rain. We were showing you some of those washed out streets. Fredericton, over 130 of it. Places like Miramichi, close to 150. Huge amounts of rain with that system. Was a huge weather story for us here at the Weather Network as well. So as we look at this afternoon, light rain showers, I know, still continuing here, but you're definitely going to see it clear out into Sunday. And then as we talk about southern Ontario, well, the potential for showers certainly is there today. It's likely that we will see the rain places like Windsor over towards Toronto into the afternoon. But the further east you are over to Kingston and Ottawa, that's when the rain showers will actually not have the greatest chance of reaching you. So good news if you want to do the outdoor plans, but extremely windy conditions here. And we are looking at an unsettled forecast across the prairies. Now, before I leave you, I promised I'd show you this here. Now, what we'll see here is those gusty conditions. Not hurricane force winds by any means, but wind gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour. That is fairly gusty for southern Ontario. We don't usually get into wind gusts that strong. Now, as we look at Friday, these were the high temperatures. Into the teens? Nope. Struggling to get to seasonal, that's for sure. We should be at about 17 to 18 degrees for this time of year. So this afternoon, 12. Pair that with rain. Pair that with wind gusts to 70 kilometers an hour. It's not going to be feeling too comfortable. So this really has been the past few days the first time that we've gotten kind of cold throughout southern Ontario. We had a wonderful September. So we asked you, it's been so cold that...
Canadian weather.
Canadian weather, gotta love it. It certainly is feeling a little brisk out there today. So as we look at the city of Toronto, for example, over the next 7 days here, temperatures will reach seasonal Tuesday and through Wednesday, but we don't have that above seasonal spike that, well, we would love to see, right? As we look at Mississauga, same sort of situation. Today, the rain showers likely through Toronto and Mississauga into the afternoon. And coming up next, Share Your Weather. All right, my favorite part in the show, it's time when we take some of your wonderful pictures that you submit online here to theweathernetwork.com or on Twitter, and we feature them right here on TV. So this picture here, this is taken by Ron Bortolon. This is in Thunder Bay. This was the sunset last night, October the 2nd. How beautiful is that? A perfect sky. So Ron, that means you get a personalized forecast. This is what's up today in Thunder Bay as we get you through your Saturday. This afternoon, a little cool, only 12 degrees. Now, to the south, we're talking about some rain in Ontario. To the north, you will see some sunny peaks here, but only 12. So yeah, it's going to be a little below seasonal here. We're basically right in that transition stage now. We're getting into October, welcoming in fall, switching over to the fall clothes, bringing out, well, the fall attire, decorations, right? So happy fall to you. 12 degrees, that's it, Ron. So I would love if you could send us some of your pictures. You can find me on Twitter at Rachel Schoutsen. Use the hashtag Share Your Weather. And that way we can find some of your pictures and then feature them right here on TV, also on Facebook as well. Now let's talk about some events that are going on, because when we talk about the weather here, well, for Nuit Blanche, on Friday, we saw some very cool conditions overnight tonight. Unfortunately, the rain showers will be moving in. Toronto, only 11 degrees through the overnight, Markham at 10. Breezy conditions as well. We'll feel that throughout the day today. We could see some wind gusts throughout southern Ontario, close to 70 kilometers an hour. Winds coming out of the northeast. So it's going to be a brisk, it's going to be a cool day, a little unpleasant, unfortunately, if you are going to a Nuit Blanche tonight. But tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, we're also talking about the CIBC Run for the Cure. So in terms of your forecast here for Sunday morning, we will see some of that rain clear out, but there could be some hit and miss showers in with this. So we're going to keep a close eye on that one for these events here. But overcast skies likely, and you're probably going to need a sweater as well because temperatures are going to be cool. And this below seasonal trend for southern Ontario into southern Quebec as well, it's going to last for a few days. So I would love if you could stick with us here because we'll talk more about this coming up, especially in the Long Ranger as well. That's up in the next segment. So as we look here at the current systems across the country, really, there's not a whole lot going on in the Long Range across the west, but today we're focusing in on some of the snow. Yeah, we have high pressure in place over northern BC and Alberta, and essentially what this helps to do is funnel in some air, some upsloping conditions, and then we could see an increase of some snowfall here. Places like Hinton, Nordegg, you saw the snowfall through last night. Calgary mixing this morning, and then that will leak down in towards Lethbridge through to Medicine Hat as well. Now, coming up through the show, we'll talk more about Hurricane Joaquin. We'll tell you the status of this and also the Long Ranger. That's next. To the Bahamas, and we'll show you some of that video coming up throughout the show. I'm Rachel Schoutsen. This year's your Long Ranger. This is where we take a look ahead, not talking about this weekend, into next week here, and we'll focus in on some of the patterns that you can expect, well, coming up. We're going to start off with this area of high pressure over Ontario and into Quebec. It's been feeling like fall, a very breezy weekend this weekend, and as we get into Monday, those winds will calm, yes, but the temperatures, they're not skyrocketing. No, I have to say there is no spike in above seasonal in the 7-day forecast here. Look at this. City of Toronto, for example. We can see Wednesday, a return to seasonal. 18 is about where we should be. But other than that, below seasonal temperatures will persist. And it does look like at the end of next week, so into next weekend, a system stateside will actually start to affect parts of Ontario. Now, as we look at the long range here, I want to focus in on the Atlantic. And will Joaquin potentially bring rain to the Atlantic? Well, the Canadian model is suggesting that possibly yes. For the most part, it is going to stay offshore. But as we look into about Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when our friends in Atlantic Canada are going to start to feel some moisture. This here is about an 80 pop at this point. With hurricanes, it does have a potential to change. But right now, it is likely to bring in some light rain showers to the Maritimes. That's on Tuesday. And then this will transition into Newfoundland as we look at Wednesday with some showers for the Avalon here. Below seasonal temperatures, only 11 for St. John. Now, as we look across into the west here, it's a fairly calm week. High pressure is in place, and you can see temperatures. Again, it feels like fall. We're really getting into October now, right? Regina at 13, Calgary at 15 here. And then before I leave you, on to the west coast, Vancouver, dry to start off the week, but an offshore low will bring in some rain as we get into next weekend.
This one
we had to deal with Miramichi, New Brunswick, over 150 millimeters of it. Now, when we talk about Hurricane Joaquin, this is a look at the water vapor right now. You can see that moist spin of low pressure here. This is Hurricane Joaquin. Will it affect people in the Atlantic? It certainly is affecting people today along the U.S. East Coast, up the Atlantic seaboard, North and South Carolina. But into, well, let's say Wednesday here, you can see it's been downgraded to a tropical storm. That's the potential track right now. And it is likely to bring in some light rain showers into Canada, but other than that, it's not going to be, well, detrimental flooding, which we are seeing today along the Atlantic seaboard. Now, as we look today into Mississauga, have a look at this scene here. Eyes continue today, this morning, into the afternoon. And the rain is also going to develop as well. Spotty rain showers throughout southwestern Ontario, creeping into the city of Toronto throughout the afternoon. If you are further east, Kingston over to Ottawa, well, the chance of you missing these showers is looking pretty good right now. Essentially, they should move as far in as, let's say, about Newmarket to Peterborough. Other than that, things are going to be looking pretty wet down towards Windsor as well. Not a heavy amount of rain, but an uncomfortable day. Temperatures are going to be cool. The winds are going to be strong as well. You can see Toronto at 12 here, and we could see some wind gusts close to 70 kilometers an hour throughout southern Ontario, especially along the Erie shores here. So this here is where we are going to get into more of an uncomfortable forecast coming into play. And as we look at Ontario as a whole, you can see that moisture just creeping in from the south. So if you are up at the cottage, well, things are actually looking pretty good for you. You should be out of some of that rain. But let's say you want to brighten up the day today with this. I never thought I'd be standing on set with a giant bowl of poutine. We have the World Poutine Eating Contest today at Dundas Square in Toronto. This is like Algonquin Park, for example, in Ontario, already 50% changed, over 50% actually, in terms of the leaves. So this weekend, if you're thinking of maybe getting out of the rain and some of the cloud cover throughout southern Ontario, take a trip up north because the conditions are going to be better, more likely to see the sunshine, less likely to see the rain, and the colors are really just so dramatic and beautiful this time of year. Now, let me take you into Burlington and show you what Burlington was looking like earlier this week.
It's great. I love it all.
And I like your attitude. This weather is a little easier to welcome back in the hockey season. Wear a scarf, wear your boots, wear a leather jacket. That's exactly what I wore yesterday. I certainly felt like I was a part of the new season. And with temperatures like this, you'll feel like it too. 14 for Toronto. This is a look at Sunday here. Today I want to mention a very raw day in terms of the weather. Wind gusts, we could see them over 50 kilometers an hour. It is not going to be comfortable. Light rain showers as well for the city of Toronto. So if you are outdoors, just prepare for the elements today, because it certainly is going to feel, well, not the best, let's say. Certainly not like summer. As we look at Monday here, up to 15, so this is a little bit better, but we should be at about 17 to 18 degrees. So will we see seasonal this week? Well, it looks like yes, we will. Tuesday in through Wednesday, sunshine coming back into play, and 18 degrees. That's about where we should be for this time of year. Mississauga, same thing goes to you, even to 19. Now stay with us here, because destructive winds, disruption to travel, flooding, power outages, this storm is packing quite the punch, and right now it is a Category 3 hurricane. Now, where is this going? What is the track of this? Is it headed right into the Atlantic seaboard? Thankfully, no. But with the pattern that we do have in place, the potential for Joaquin, you can see here with the water vapor, how moist this is. It does have the potential to bring in a lot of rainfall into places like South and North Carolina. So this here is the track, and this is looking like a great track. It is offshore. It's likely to bring in just a little bit of rain into the Maritimes into next week, but is not going to make landfall. So this is great news here in terms of this track. It's going to weaken, eventually become a Category 1 hurricane, and then a post-tropical storm. But what we have here is this pattern in place. You can see the jet stream here. This is a cut-off flow, and essentially what this is going to do, you can see where the winds are coming from, these easterly winds, as Joaquin tracks through. This is going to suck in some of that moisture. So today, all eyes are on places like South Carolina and North Carolina, Raleigh and Charlotte, as we could see potential for some devastating flooding in this region. Now I want to turn things over to the science behind the weather. Here's more on winds. All right, getting outdoors today across the prairies, cool conditions throughout Saskatchewan, even colder throughout Alberta. The rain showers will continue. Snow as well. Yeah, we'll see that basically Red Deer south towards the international border. Winnipeg today, nice day for you at 16. Very gusty conditions throughout southern Ontario. Toronto only at 12. And we'll see the rain continue as well out for the Maritimes. This has been your forecast, your farmer's forecast, brought to you by John Deere.